Hey guys, Popeye here. Just wanted to check in with you all, see how everybody's doing. We're in chapters 7, 8, and 9 in Module 3 right now, so that means we're getting into some of the really interesting stuff related to biomechanics and kinesiology. Um, with these three chapters, this is where we really start to learn about human movement amongst the joints and loads that are applied to these specific joints and where these muscles are originating from and how they react to stress and whatnot. And incorporating some of the information based on even sport movement. So if you play a sport, you can really start to see where loads on the body can take their toll and maybe cause some of these common injuries that you're going to read about as well. Okay. So again, really important to take your time going through this material. If you need to reread, utilize the questions at the end of each chapter to really help refresh your memory more than just the questions that are offered in the reading. Please do so. You can always go back to each chapter as well, even though you've already completed it, and do a refresher. Okay, it's called a recharge to help you remember that information. So that way it's not as hard to remember more information once you get to your final. Okay. I'm also going to be placing a file on Blackboard. It's called Desk-Bound, Standing Up to a Sitting World. It is section 2 of the textbook that talks about maintaining a neutral spine. Now, these next few chapters in Module 3, Chapter 7, 8, 9, talk about the shoulder, elbow, wrist, hands and fingers, the hip, the knee, the ankles and the toes, and then the spine. In all actuality, just to let you guys know the way that I used to teach this, I used to teach a lot about the spine more than anything because lack of motion in the spine can lead to impaired movement in the extremities. Okay, so it's important that we all keep a neutral spine on a regular basis, especially during movement, keeping our core engaged as well. Okay, so it's maybe 15 pages or so. You don't have to read it, okay? But what I am saying is it's a very helpful tool to understand keeping a neutral spine, keeping your body braced properly, and just a lot of great information. If you are familiar with Dr. Kelly Starrett, he is a physical therapist. He's written another book called Becoming a Supple Leopard. It's another great text that I would highly recommend that you purchase if you haven't already. I think it's around $30 on Amazon. And then Desk-Bound, Standing Up to a Sitting World is a great one when we talk about workplace wellness and what happens to the body from constantly being in a seated position all day. Same for you guys as students. Think about that. If you're a student sitting all day in front of a computer, what happens to your body? Okay, a lot of what we see, and I'll just do this right now, if we're sitting at a desk, okay, from my side profile here, the shoulders tend to roll forward while we're reading. And then the head tends to migrate forward so that we can actually focus in more on the computer screen. And then you start typing something. Now you see how my body is kind of just hunched forward now, okay? Not a super clear camera angle, but you can see that I'm more rounded forward. Whereas if I'm sitting up straight and have my shoulders pulled back and I'm reading like this, I'm much more upright, keeping my spine neutral, okay? But again, everything else tends to round forward when we do this. Why is that important? Think about what this is going to do to your body over a long period of time, okay? It's not good, okay? We compress everything forward. We start to get actual changes within the bone, within the joint, arthritic changes, biomechanical changes in the way that we function. If we're so rounded forward, we're going to be compressing, the bicep is going to be compressed a whole lot because our pectoralis muscle is squeezing this way. So our bicep travels through the shoulder. It's going to be putting a lot of stress on the back muscles because they're being stretched out quite a bit. More stress on the rotator cuff. And again, when we change these patterns, they're habitual movements, something we do every day. When we change these patterns because of learned ways of movement or learned ways of non-movement, this really becomes detrimental over time. And if you've ever seen somebody in the grocery store, say it's an elderly individual, and they're going grocery shopping, we call it the grandparent shuffle for a reason. If we have a shopping cart in front of us, I'm going to move the camera back here, shopping cart here, and I have my hands out in front of me with my shopping cart, Now, if I roll myself forward and bend my head forward because I've been so compressed, okay, and I'm like this the entire time, if you've seen this before, the head's down more because of spinal issues, again, this is definitely something that we want to avoid. Okay, and then the feet actually, if we look at the feet, they shuffle back and forth. They aren't actually getting into hip flexion and then planting the foot, plantar flexing at the ankle, going into hip extension, and like a circular motion moving through. Okay, we're not getting this motion. We are getting the shuffle back and forth because they are unable to pick up their limbs due to either atrophy or just arthritic changes over time. Okay. I love teaching this stuff face to face, so this has become a little bit more difficult trying to teach these aspects online, but there are going to be some more videos dropping about this information, some mini lectures, okay? And again, they're totally up to you if you want to listen to them, okay? The material that you're learning is going to be based in the book, but the interesting tidbits of information that I'm going to give you in these videos can be really helpful in your careers as well as any other files that I drop. Download those right away, save them to a flash drive so that you can refer back to them. And again, also I'll put out a recommendation for textbooks that I would say are great for you to have as a professional, okay? In the meantime, if you have any questions, use that raise your hand and ask function on the discussion board, okay? Message me within the course in Blackboard, or you can call me or text me on my cell phone using my Google Voice number. That's area code 315-326-1984. Okay? And again, please feel free to contact me all because I will respond to you and I will be able to be more than happy to clear things up for you if there's any issues. All right? Have a wonderful rest of the day and a wonderful rest of the week. Take care.